Hello, welcome to this presentation. Let me begin first by introducing myself briefly. My name is Anthony Willis, and I'm the founder and owner of Innovation Consultancy. I'm a former UN advisor on monitoring and evaluation of programs within Guyana and the Caribbean, and also worked as an advisor and program coordinator for the European Union in setting up the Regional Broadcasting Development Framework in the Caribbean. I worked at the University of Guyana for a number of years, over a decade, as a senior developmental planning and training officer slash tutor for over a decade. Key functional areas: project management, e-learning development, subject matter expertise, and instructional design. There's a crisis in education in the Caribbean, so says Dr. Didacus Jules. Now, who is Dr. Didacus Jules? He was the CEO of the Caribbean Examinations Council in 2016, for 5 years. And in his white paper, seminal white paper, he published a document informing Caribbean governments that the system, public education systems in the Caribbean, they're broken. They are in a crisis. As a result of that, he visited each member state, the Caribbean, and informed the government that they need to take urgent action to remedy the situation. He urged them not to tinker with the system, but to make fundamental shifts in education. He led a team that conducted research to analyze the problems faced in Caribbean. And they realized that the old chalk and talk teaching methodologies that served us well in the past, they are no longer working. They are ineffective. On your screen you see a graphic which shows you the number of students, 12,500 students who wrote annually write the CSEC examination. 60% of those students fail. Less than 1% of Guyanese students earn top marks. Yes, less than 1%. So if you were driving past a school in the city, you should be reminded by this graphic, because most of the area in the graphic housing students would fail. This area alone, 39% would pass, but not with top grades, but with the minimum standard. As a result, the Caribbean Examinations Council and the University of the West Indies conducted some serious research on the factors that contribute to poor performance in the STEM subjects. And they identified 4 root causes. They did a root analysis of the problems in the Caribbean related to education. And they found that limited access to quality education contributed to poor performance of students in the Caribbean. They also found that the limited delivery of the content of the school curriculum also contributed to poor performance. And outdated teaching methodologies, the chalk and talk methodologies that I mentioned earlier, they are no longer working, they are ineffective. In addition to that, they found that Caribbean students are digital students operating in an analog classroom, dull, boring classrooms, and dull, boring textbooks. The figures you see on your screen are for Guyanese students who sat the exam: 12,606, 65 female students and 45 male students. Now, the problem in education was further exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Most schools were temporarily closed and there were low levels of engagement. That is, low levels of engagement between students and teachers. For example, the World Bank flags Guyana for low levels of education and warned the government about severe learning loss and high dropout rates. The World Bank, UNESCO, UNICEF report lays out the magnitude of the education crisis, as you can see in the graphic on your screen. As a result, the Guyanese government set up a commission of inquiry into education. The commission was first a 15-member commission, subsequently whittled down to a 3-man commission. And after 6 months of consultation with parents, teachers, students throughout Guyana, they came up with a 23-page report. Yes, a 23-page report. And the government paid $28 million for that report. To note, however, the report had no supporting data, and it was unsupported by any rigorous scientific research methodology. It was just listening to people, summarizing comments, and submitting a report. In fact, the report had only 2 data points. The first data point was the cost of the report, $28 million, and the date of the report. In other words, it was an unscientific piece of work, unsupported by hard evidence. The Granger administration, in its response to the crisis in education, came up with a strategy which I call the 10 B's strategy. 10 B's, B as in bat. They released buses, boots, boats, books, barrels, bicycles, book bags, blackboards, podcasts, boring classrooms. They shared free books. They also provided boots to students, and buses and barrels and bicycles and book bags and so on. But that didn't change anything. We at Innovation Consultancy came up with our own B's, 3 B's only: bits and bytes, the language of computers; blended learning, where you involve innovation and technology and education; and bite-sized learning. Bite-sized learning is short video lessons that are designed to capture and engage the learner's attention through engaging images and lots of interaction; and flipped classrooms, where teachers can assign students to watch specific video lessons and then respond to questions, and they can do so in the comfort and convenience of their home. Now, as a result of the crisis in education, parents became very anxious and worried. They want to get the best education for their child, so they've been forking out $7,500 per month to public school teachers who offer extra lessons after classes. The result? No significant improvement in the performance of students based upon results. The gains of the teachers in the public school system, well, from extra lessons, in 1 year they take home an additional $67,000 a year. So what are the pains of parents becomes the gains of teachers. Teachers gains, parents pains. Now let's look closer at the problems in education. The contributing factors. On your screen you see what is called a fish diagram or Ishikawa diagram, which shows the contributing factors and in these cases the determining factors of poor performance: outdated teaching methodologies, failure, untrained and inexperienced teachers, non-completion of the curriculum, limited time on task, limited access across the country, dull, boring textbooks in classrooms, dull, boring classrooms. And these were identified by the research scientists, educational specialists from CXC and the University of West Indies. Now here on your screen you see I've done a granular analysis of the performance of Guyanese students for the years 2012, 2013, 2014 and 2016, 2012. You can pause the video here and look at the individual questions. Each question is analyzed, marks gained and marks lost. And you can see in questions 8, 9 and 10 quite a lot of marks are lost, so inevitably students